Hello. I said I was going to go live at 6, and I think this is 6. This is not an endorsement of Diet Dr. Pepper, but I do enjoy it more than regular Dr. Pepper. So, well, I'm not going to wait for people to show up because we know how that goes. But what I wanted to do was just do a little update of what's going on with my hatchery here, and let's take a look at it. I shot a video I think last week or 2 weeks ago that was the showrooms in the living room, and this is a look at my garage. So let's turn this thing around and we'll go through some of these tanks. So this is sort of an overview of what we'll be looking at, and I'll just give you some updates and tell you what's going on. What we have here is a 100-gallon grow out, mainly for, well, only for cichlids. I have a lot of different stuff in here. You can't see into it, but some fish are easier to catch than others. That's probably a Coptodon bite the bait. I have some redfin Borlei. I also have a blue dolphin in there growing out. I'd like to get him into the show tank. I have a lot of lemon jakes in there. So, hi Tim, thanks for tuning in, and hi to my wife, and hi to Juan out in Connecticut. Kaboom! What we have here in this tank is these are my Mbipia crossbars. They're Victorian. They always get behind this breeding tank here, but you can see the male there. He's the only one that's really going to color up. There are other males in here, mostly it's almost hard to tell, but the smaller ones are females, and there are some males, but they won't color up. And then of course I have some babies here, but this is pretty much what they look like all the time. As far as being up in this corner, they never go over here. Moving on, let's see. In this tank, we have some hongi and also some OB marmalade cats. Trying to grow those guys out. They got a good gray OB look going, and I think the hongis are looking great. The hongis are already giving me some eggs, so I got some eggs in a tumbler there. And you can see he's pretty upset about this whole deal. But he routinely fights with the Synodontis that I have. It's always in that spot. Going down here, which in here, believe it or not, are fish that I can never see. I do have a Turkish male and a couple females, and there you can see the females back there. They've already given me fries. The male's beautiful. He's just super shy. And he's about 3 inches. And of course, fathering fry. Here you can see some Turkish fry down here under the rock. I think that's cool. I'm not really pulling them. I'm just letting them, just letting the lady spit in the tank. I might pull them and put them in a breeder box later, the fry that is. Because certainly I would love some more Turkish. I wish I could see the male, and I know, oh, there he is. I don't know if you could see him in the reflection in the back of the tank, but yeah, he's hiding out. Over here, moving on, I got some sulfur heads. They're also shy. I took the best male and put him in the show tank. And then I have 3 left, 2 of which I think are females. All 3 are refusing to color up, so I'm not 100% sure. They're in there. They're not even very food aggressive, but they're also pretty shy. And down here I have some Coptodon baits, and so you know, these are from Cameroon. They are Cares fish. I do have a couple broods of them in the grow out, and looks like these fish are trying to eat I don't know what, something fell in their tank and they're going nuts for it. Anyway, Coptodon bifabates. Down here, these are some blue lips, so some Pseudotropheus Williamsii blue lips. And they're small, they're growing out obviously. They don't seem to like the veggie flakes I put in, and they think they're omnivorous. Anyway, I'm waiting to see what they look like. There's about 6 of them in there, and hopefully I'll be able to house them with the hongi. Over here's a 55 with some Tremovaceae, the ochre. So the females are OB, and the males are this beautiful rusty color with some blue. And there used to be one clown loach in here, and I did get a few more other ones. You probably saw on my post. And Mom just went after that fry. You can see there are fry in the tank. And about every single female is also holding. So I'm not pulling the fry. I'm going to let the parents tank raise them, and we'll see. I'll pull them for once they've grown up a bit. Anyway, so that's 55 there. I just dumped a bunch of duckweed in there. They seem to make it disappear real quick. And I do want to thank everyone for tuning in. Let's go up here. So this is the rack of 10s over here. I'll back up a little bit. And this just sort of like, it's hospital rack, it's miscellaneous rack. I grow some plants in there. All kinds of little things happen in there. So up here, I'm working a line of guppies. They're in that contraption so that they don't eat their fry. The fry escape out, and I just pull the fry and I put them into this tank. And so those are cobra guppies with red tails. I'm tentatively calling them red venom because I want to see some really bright red tails on some cobra guppies. Anyway, we'll see how that works out. Up here is just a tank of endlers. I did have them in a breeding setup, and now I'm just colony breeding them because, well, I don't know. I've been unable to keep the strains pure in the endlers, so I'm not going to be so concerned about it. As you see, my loaches will never run out of snails. There's snails in all these tanks. Up here is some Ambipia lutea from Macobie Island. There are 6 in there. There they are back there. Not coloring up yet. I'm hoping I don't have all females, but we'll see. And I did, there's possibly a beta in here somewhere. I could get up on my ladder. Oh, there we go. Very upset we are. It's cold, but it's almost feeding time, so we'll get up there and get some food. Michael, I would send you some snails, but I just I use them. They clean my tanks. Here's another Endler tank. Again, I'm colony breeding these. I've given up on trying to line breed them, and I just don't know enough people that are interested in them anyway. So I put them in my tanks as dithers. The females are in a lot of my cichlid tanks. They survive. These are some crossbar juvies. In here I have some crebensis. I did if you've seen my discus tank, I broke down a community tank, and it had tons of fish that I didn't really have room for. So I do have some crebensis in here that were in that tank, and down in here with all my duckweed and plants, I have an assorted sort of tank, as you can see, with a bunch of community fish in it. Still don't know what I'm going to do with them. Ethan, who's watching, told him he could have the platies, but he doesn't seem to be able to get in his car and come out here and get them. He's going to ask me to bring them to him, I'm sure. Over here, in here, I got some red empress growing out. You can't see them. It's also some corkscrew val and some endlers. This tank I broke down today, so to speak. I took my under and red points out of it, so we'll just move on. There's nothing to see in there but algae and dirt from me pulling plants. And in here's some Tanganyikans. And what I have in here is some comperceps, and you'll also see hiding in there some Julies. Julies are looking really pretty with a very nice blue line along their backs, and as you can see, now I'm getting ready to move these into a tank. So I have another tank to set up, but I'm going to move all the fish in here into a larger tank. I just moved these guys into here today. Got some, these are Honduran red points. You can't see them, but in the back there they show a real beautiful blue and red, and they're feisty and they're hard to catch, but they really are beautiful. And down here, I'm not going to get down there on the ground, I'm going to go sideways, but that's just a, I can't turn my phone while recording. Okay. Well, there you go. I hope y'all aren't getting dizzy, but that's just a community guppy tank. I figured I'd let whatever happen in there, and whatever happens in there stays in there. And in there, in that dark tank, is black worms. I did have a black worm culture. I'm trying to keep them alive. And that's the gist of it. That's the hatchery side here. I call it a hatchery, but really it's just my second fish room. Mainly because I'm not super interested in pulling a bunch of fry at the moment. I just prefer to watch them grow in tank. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you all. Let me remind you, Friday at River City Aquatics from 7 to 9, we will be having our first Greater Austin Aquarium Society meeting, and trying to get an aquarium society kicked off the ground. I don't think that's the phrase you're supposed to use, kicked off the ground, but there you see my sulfur heads are starting to think that some food's about to come their way. So I guess, you know, you could say I got a male and a female there, but that male's not real impressive. The more impressive specimen is in my show tank, and 2 of his brothers, which I've already sold. Anywho, good night. Thank you all for showing up, and we'll see you soon with an update of the living room.